another day of the week. Welcome to the Friday edition of Chasing That Paper, the Super Wildcard Weekend edition of Chasing That Paper, presented by VegasInsider.com. Oh, baby, so coming off a 2-2 performance yesterday, so my run of profitable days came to an end. My co-host from yesterday can't say the same. Quite a night on the ice for Iain MacMillan. Let's bring him in now. Iain MacMillan, senior editor over at BetMGM. He took a big swing on the Seattle Crackheads, plus 200 bet. Also hit on the Las Vegas Golden Knights. So, Iain, how are you feeling after the big night? You must be feeling pretty proud of yourself.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well, Joe. I'm hot in the NHL. 13-3 in my last 16 NHL picks. I'm a little bit nervous, though, because today is every bettor's worst nightmare. It is Friday the 13th, Joe. I don't know if you realize that. So,
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so I don't know what that says about our picks. Thankfully, the ones on this show aren't for any games today, so maybe that'll be all right. But yeah, bad luck day.
Yeah, I was going through the closet this morning, Iain, deciding what to wear, and I said, hey, maybe the last time I'll get to wear it for many, many months here. Show some support. I'll go down with the ship, the Miami Dolphins. Good luck to them. Tomorrow we're going to be discussing that game. We're going to be discussing pretty much every game here, Saturday and Sunday. Wise, at least for Super Wildcard Weekend. That's coming up, second half of the show. Kick around a couple of topics. Let's get right into the action, though. Iain, Super Wildcard Weekend starts off tomorrow with the Seahawks in San Francisco to take on the 49ers. I'm going to take a wild swing. Give me the 49ers minus 9.5 in this one. So the ass-kicking tour continues on Saturday. Check out the 49ers. 7 double-digit wins in their last 10 games. We all know how great this defense is, but check out the offense. 7 30-plus point games in their last 10 games. In Brock Purdy, I trust. This man has ice water in his veins. Quarterback rating of 114.6 or better in 4 of his 5 starts. 35, 37, and 38 points scored in his 3 starts at home. Lots of holes in the Seattle defense for Purdy and the boys to take advantage of. What happened to the Seahawks? You know, they were a great story prior to their bye. They've been struggling ever since. Defense is 27th on third down, 24th in the red zone, 26 in yards allowed per rush attempt. Offensively, Geno Smith is getting sacked a lot, so keep your eye out for that as well. Give me the 49ers minus 9.5. All right, we move to the Saturday night game. The Chargers in Jacksonville taking on the Jaguars. Which way are you going with this one, Iain?
I'm going to take the Jaguars on the money line, Joe. Still available out there at around plus 120. Yeah, a little bit underdog here, although I will say I'm a little nervous. I don't think I've seen a single person on the Chargers out there, so that makes me a little bit nervous. But I got to trust the numbers here, and this might be a little bit of a hot take, but I don't think the Chargers are actually that good of a football team. I know I talk about net yards per play a lot, probably maybe a little bit too much, but you have to at least note it. The Chargers 27th in net yards per play this season, 20th in net yards per play over their last 3 games, and 26th in net yards per play on the road. And now they're taking on the Jaguars team that kind of has shades of last year's Bengals team that went on a deep playoff run. They got hot at the end of the season. They won their division in the last week. Trevor Lawrence might have been one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL in the second half of the season, and their defense has been playing lights out. Over their last 3 games, the Jaguars ranked first in opponent yards per play and first in opponent yards per pass attempt. And if their secondary stays hot, that's going to be huge because the Chargers lead the AFC in pass attempts per game. Also, you do have to note that a huge coaching advantage here for Jacksonville, or at least you have to assume so. Doug Peterson, already a Super Bowl champion just a few short years ago. He won the Super Bowl with the Eagles. Going up against Brandon Staley, who has made questionable decision after questionable decision as the head coach of the LA Chargers. So I will take the Jaguars on the money line plus 120 in this one.
Yeah, I agree. The Chargers overrated the stars and scrubs roster, but one of those stars, Justin Herbert, my favorite prop for wildcard weekend. I'm going to take Justin Herbert over 37.5 pass attempts, coming in at minus 114. So the Chargers pass it at the second highest percentage in the NFL. The Bucs first. Why would you deviate from this? Let your best player make plays in the biggest game of the season. Expect LA to be able to extend drives versus a Jags D that ranks 29th in opponent third down conversion percentage. He tops this number with regularity. He topped it in 10 games. He got into the 40s on 9 occasions, including 45 pass attempts versus the Jags earlier in the season, where he supposedly had busted up ribs. And the Jaguars have a strong rushing defense. Deviating from the pass attack wouldn't be smart versus a Jags D that ranks 7th in yards allowed per rush attempt. Give me Herbert to be passing early and often, over 37.5 pass attempts. All right, Ian, we move into Sunday now. My Miami Dolphins, the biggest underdog of the week. I hate to see it. In Buffalo. How you handicapping this one?
Yeah, so I bet this line early in the week when it was at 10.5. I thought that line was assuming Tua wasn't going to play. I thought Tua was going to play, so I jumped on it at 10.5. It obviously, well, it actually moved down to 9.5 for a day. But then after Tua was announced, so it hopped all the way up to where it's at now, 13.5. And I think that's a complete overreaction. So if we're going off the current lines, I absolutely love the Miami Dolphins at plus 13.5. Nice. Listen, don't underestimate this team. A lot of people have been trashing on them because of their win-loss record down the stretch. But if you look at net yards per play, and I promise this will be the last time I'll cite net yards per play this show, it is the obvious 4 teams who, led that category throughout the season. It's the 4 Super Bowl favorites. It's the Chiefs. It's the Bills. It's the 49ers. It's the Eagles, a team that came in at 5th in net yards per play this season. It is the Miami Dolphins. Now, obviously, Tua contributed to that quite a bit, but still, this team is more than just their quarterback. This is a very solid team. Specifically, their defense has been fantastic. They are tied, actually, with the Jaguars in opponent yards per play over their last 3 games. Their defense is getting hot at the right time, and let's not forget that this Bills team does have a few red flags, mainly turnovers. Heading into the playoffs, the Bills rank second last in the NFL in giveaways per game. They're coughing up the ball an average of 1.7 times per game this season. Only the Colts were worse. It is hard to cover a 13.5 point spread as it is. It's going to be near impossible if they turn the ball over twice. Not only does that potentially take points off the board for the Bills, but it may even result in giving some points to the Dolphins. So almost a 2-touchdown spread. I think that's an insane overreaction. I will underreact to Skylar Thompson being their quarterback. Give me the Dolphins plus 13.5.
Yeah, I would absolutely love to see Miami to keep this game from getting too out of hand. And keep in mind here, guys, when the Dolphins played the Bills, what was that, about 3 weeks ago on Saturday night, I think our very own Iain MacMillan was one of the only people on the Dolphins to cover the spread in that game. And the Dolphins, of course, gave the Bills a hell of a game in a difficult spot there. So, yeah, fins up. Let's go, Dolphins. All right, on to the meat part of the Super Wildcard Sunday sandwich. You love that analogy. So the middle game here on Sunday, we got the Giants in Minnesota taking on the Vikings. I am taking the underdog New York Giants at plus 3 points here. So the Giants actually outplayed them. The Giants outplayed them back on Christmas Eve. These teams played just a couple weeks ago, of course. Minnesota won that game 27-24 on a game-ending 61-yard field goal. But I'd argue that the Giants actually outplayed them in that game despite the loss. The numbers back it up, too. They outgained them 6.7 yards per play to 5.0. Now, the big question here for the Vikings, can they keep winning these coin flip games? The Vikings got the 13 wins because things went their way in a lot of tight games, like that Christmas Eve game versus the Giants. Story of their season. They actually had 5 wins by exactly 3 points this season. And I gotta wonder, with the stakes getting higher than they've been all season, can they keep pulling through at the end, especially in a tight spot like this versus the Giants? And guys, Minnesota was absolutely embarrassing in big games this season. They actually played an extremely easy schedule, the 5th easiest schedule, according to Pro Football Focus. But check them out in big games this season. Of course, they had a horseshoe up their ass versus the Buffalo Bills. Aside from that, though, they got killed by the Eagles early in the season on Monday Night Football, where Kirk Cousins completely melted. The Cowboys came into Minnesota and beat the living shit out of them by 37 points. Down the stretch versus divisional opponents, the Lions beat them by 11. Then in Week 17, they urinated all over themselves in a 41-17 loss versus the Packers. So yeah, I think the Giants come in and give them a good game. Give me New York +3. All right, Ian, you have a prop that you like for this game. Who are you looking at?
I do have a player prop for this game. I am on the Giants as a whole, but there is a certain Vikings player that I like to go over their total. It is not one of the popular players on the team. It is KJ Osborne. That's right, KJ Osborne, who you might not know is actually Joe's long-lost cousin.
Indeed.
He moved away from Canada and dropped the E from his name to make sure he separated himself from Joe as much as possible. But yes, people forget KJ Osborne, actually a blood relative of Joe. I'm going to take the over on his receiving total of 38.5 in this game. He's kind of the secret weapon of this Vikings offense. Everyone, when they talk about the Vikings offense, they talk about Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. But KJ Osborne is kind of the secret sauce here. He has surpassed his total in 3 of his last 4 games. In 2 of those games, he eclipsed 100 yards. He actually had 10 catches on 16 targets for 157 yards against the Colts in Week 15. And I think the reason why he's thriving late in the season is because I think teams are making their game plan revolve around stopping Justin Jefferson, double teaming him, doing whatever they need to do, hanging a safety over top. So if they're going to focus their entire defensive game plan on stopping Justin Jefferson, that opens things up for guys like KJ Osborne. So I think that's going to be the case this weekend. I'll take over 38.5 receiving yards from KJ Osborne.
Okay, we move on to Sunday Night Football. Rematch of Week 18. We got the Ravens in Cincinnati taking on the Bengals. My best bet for this game, give me under 40.5 points. So I've been beating this drum for weeks. Just radical incompetence from the Ravens. Offense, 17 or fewer points per game in 6 straight games. No big playability whatsoever from this team. The second fewest passing plays of 20-plus yards this season. Check out this Bengals defense, maybe a little underrated, allowing just 18 points per game at home. The most points they allowed on their home field was 24 to the Chiefs earlier this season. No shame in that. 5th in opponent third down conversion percentage on their home field. And how about a little bit of goddamn respect for this Baltimore defense? Keep in mind that they held the Bengals offense to 20 points last week. Cincinnati's defense scored a touchdown on that one. Prior to that, 16 or fewer points allowed in 6 of their last 8 games. They also held Cincinnati to 17 in their first matchup this season. Great against the run, elite on third down. And as a result of an awful offense and elite-level defense, an insane 6 of Baltimore's last 8 games failed to cross 30 points. Rock-bottom scoring. Expecting another low-scoring one in Cincinnati on Sunday night. All right, Ian, bring it home for us, baby. You got a prop for the Sunday nighter. What are you looking at?
This is my favorite prop bet of the entire weekend. And this one specifically, I bet 2 units on this one. It is available at BetMGM. It is Jamar Chase over 6.5 receptions at plus money. We're getting plus 105 on this prop, which is absolutely insane because he has at least 7 catches in 8 straight games. That's right, not 1 game, not 2 games, not 3, 4, 5, 6, or even 7 straight games, 8 straight games with at least 7 catches. You got to go all the way back to week 4 against the Dolphins, the last time that he didn't have at least 7 catches. Obviously, he missed a portion of the season in the middle, but still 8 straight games, 7+ receptions. He caught 8 catches on 13 targets last week against the Ravens in Week 18. That's one more than what he had to get just for this prop to cash. And also, Ravens are giving up 23.2 completions per game. That ranks 26th in the NFL this season, so there should be plenty of completions to go around. And Jamar Chase, I think, is going to haul in 7 of them for plus money, Joe. 2-unit play for me. Give me Jamar Chase over 6.5 receptions.
Ooh, yeah, I like that. 8 total picks, guys, across the 5 games for Super Wildcard Weekend there. The Monday game, of course, we're going to weigh in on that on Monday. But if you're looking to tail any of our bets, if you're looking to fade any of these bets, the choice quite simply is yours. I recommend placing your action over at BetMGM. Let me tell you a little bit about them. Kick off your day with the king of sportsbooks. Sign up with BetMGM using bonus code VIBONUS, and your first wager is risk-free up to $1,000. That's a VI bonus, all one word, no spaces. Your first wager is risk-free up to $1,000. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. You must be 21 or older. BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Yeah. Yeah, baby. And a quick reminder, if you're on YouTube watching us right now, do us a little favor. Hit that like button down there. Hit that subscribe button down there. We would appreciate it very much. All right, let's kick around a couple of things, mainly NFL topics here, Ian. We put up a poll this morning on the VegasInsider Twitter feed asking people to weigh in on which small NFL underdog is the best bet to win outright here. Of course, Ian showed his hand earlier. Jaguars plus 120. Most people like the Bucs here, plus 120. I think a great case can be made for any of these teams. Of course, I like the Giants on the spread. With it being a short spread, I wouldn't be surprised to see them win outright. But Ian, what are your thoughts on? We'll save our Bucs opinions here for Monday, but what are your thoughts on the Giants in Minnesota here? You think they got a shot to win this one?
Yeah, I do have plenty of thoughts about the Buccaneers. I'm not shocked it's 50% Bucs. We'll talk about that on Monday. But yeah, I do think the Giants are live underdogs here against the Vikings. It's a game between the two of the most fraudulent teams in the NFL all season. Either of them could win. I could see it going either way. Obviously, it came down to a last-second field goal just a few weeks ago on Christmas Eve in favor of the Vikings. But the Giants largely outplayed them that game. I think outgained them per play by like 1.7 yards. So I think the Giants are certainly live in that game for sure.
Indeed. I think the Giants are a better coach team, personally. So let's look at this from another way. A lot of complaints. I consume a lot of sports media, as I'm sure you do as well. Ian, a lot of complaints about these lopsided matchups. We got some monster spreads here. I think something fucked up is going to happen this weekend. Rarely do things go the way they're supposed to in the NFL playoffs. We see big upsets all the time. So I'll throw this to you first. Out of the 3 big underdogs, the Ravens, the Dolphins, and the Seahawks, so plus 9.5 for Seattle, plus 13.5 for Miami, plus 9.5 for the Ravens. Which one of these teams do you think has the best shot to pull off the outright win?
I don't know about best shot, Joe, but I think the Dolphins are going to give the Bills at least a little bit of a scare. One of these big underdogs are going to win this week. And I actually read a tweet just before we went live. I'm going to see if I can find it here. This guy said pro bettors might not admit that they're doing it, but this is absolutely a weekend where a 3-team parlay makes sense. There's no such thing as a lock, but I just can't envision the 49ers, Bills, or Bengals losing, barring something catastrophic, of course. Those words, I just can't envision it happening, or I just can't see it happening, or there's no way this happens, or no way this doesn't happen. Those are, that's a death sentence if you're a professional bettor, or if you're any type of bettor, if you're a casual bettor. Weird things happen in sports, guys. There's no such thing. I would not recommend doing a 3-team parlay. Now, maybe it does cash, but maybe it doesn't. Weird things happen in sports, especially in the NFL. Sure, it might seem obvious, but anytime something seems obvious in betting on sports, it usually isn't. So don't do a 3-team parlay. One of those teams I think is going to lose, and I think it could be the Bills.
Yeah, often when you have a big upset, you need like a lot of things to come together and happen. And of course, I picked the 49ers, but if you look at this game as a whole, we have a bit of a recipe for an upset potentially because there's some weird stuff going on. You have Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy, starting his first ever playoff game. Is this the game where he hits a wall? I don't think it will happen, but I'm just a guy here. Oh, did that get disconnected? Let me refresh this. I am back. Okay, I just refreshed that. So yeah, Brock Purdy maybe hits a wall in this game. There's supposed to be a crazy downpour in San Francisco too, so who knows what that could lead to. Um, One thing I will say about this Bengals Ravens game, I think the line movement on this is a pretty big overreaction. I took Cincinnati -6.5 earlier in the week, not expecting Lamar Jackson to play. And even if Lamar Jackson was going to play, he's been shitty in the playoffs before. He was probably going to be rusty and not able to run like he's supposed to. So I do think that 3-point line move is an overreaction based on Lamar not playing. Did everyone expect him to play? And the line was at 6.5. So yeah, I don't know about that one, but I think some of these games might be a little bit tighter than we're expecting. Something else I want to ask you about here, Ian, to see if you agree or disagree with me. But I think the media is trying way too hard to push Trevor Lawrence here. I'm hearing a lot of discussion. People talking about all the great young quarterbacks in the AFC, and they're including Trevor Lawrence in the group of Mahomes and Allen and Herbert. And I just don't see it. Yeah, Lawrence has had moments this season, and his team won down the stretch, but if you dig into his numbers, Trevor Lawrence, I had him up here. A bit more prepared here. Bear with me here. A bit underwhelming for Trevor Lawrence down the stretch of the season. He was pretty bad in that Tennessee game. Of course, everyone probably recalls that where he badly missed Zay Jones at the back of the end zone. But he's now gone 3 straight games where his quarterback rating hasn't been in the hundreds and below 95. Last 3 weeks, he has just 1 touchdown pass. Not so special. So your thoughts on Lawrence here? I was kind of watching that game thinking, hey, I can't wait to bet against Trevor Lawrence. But then, you factor in the matchup. I think it is a good matchup for the Chargers. But do you think Trevor Lawrence is getting too much of a media push here? Am I off on that?
Yeah, he might be getting a little bit of a media push, but that's just because I think he was so hyped out of college. I don't know if I agree that he wasn't great down the stretch. I mean, in the Texans game in Week 17, he only threw the ball 21 times. He completed 17 of them. So I think he played it. I think he has played now 2 regular seasons, and in a season and a half, he's been subpar. And in the second half of this season, I think he played extremely well. So I think he's now starting to look like the quarterback people expected him to be. We'll see what he looks like in the playoffs now. But yeah, the media is overhyping him. He's been one of the most overhyped players of all time. He was the next coming of Jesus when he was coming out of Clemson. I thought he was overhyped coming out of college, but I don't agree that the last couple of games it didn't look great. I think he looked all right.
I just think he makes some bad mistakes, but then again, to argue against myself, he's still pretty young. It's 2 seasons in the NFL here, so
only 2 interceptions dating back to Week 9. So he did solve that issue a little bit in the second half of the season. But it's not a big enough sample size where I'm really willing to put him up in the category of the other AFC top quarterbacks for sure.
Yeah, okay. One other thing I want to touch on here is Derek Carr, of course, an emotional goodbye via social media to Raiders Nation there yesterday. I still think Carr, at times over the years, he's flirted with being a top 10 quarterback. He has stretches of 2 or 3 weeks where he'll look absolutely fantastic. Then he'll have stretches where he'll absolutely urinate all over himself. But I don't think that there's much of a debate that Carr's a top 15 quarterback in the NFL. I think that's fair to say. And he's going to have a lot of suitors here. One team that we were kicking around Lamar Jackson potential, what about the Washington Commanders? That's a team, they don't have their answer at quarterback, clearly. Really? Carson Wentz? You bring that guy in? So yeah, I think Carr to the Washington Commanders. Of course, the Jets is a popular one. I kind of like Jimmy G to the Jets, potentially myself. But where could you see Derek Carr landing next, Ian?
Derek Carr screams the Indianapolis Colts to me, Joe. Doesn't he seem like a Colts quarterback? They love signing a veteran. Maybe they draft a rookie and put Carr in front of him for a season or two. He just screams like a Colts player to me. So my prediction is Colts, but I like the Commanders as well. That could probably make sense.
Yeah, I kind of look at the Colts, and I think they're maybe a little sick of the Band-Aid. Yeah. They did it with Phillip Rivers. I think he got them into the playoffs, and then the Matt Ryan thing was a complete and total disaster. But yeah, it depends.
Matt Ryan.
How much do they have to give away to trade up would be the question, I guess, for the Colts. And we got to see what they're going to do, who they're going to bring in at head coach. Hopefully they bring back Jeff Saturday. Here's what the Colts should do. Bring back Jeff Saturday as the head coach. Bring Matt Patricia in to be the offensive coordinator. Wouldn't that be fantastic? I don't think we made enough of a big deal out of the fact that Jeff Saturday was the offensive coordinator for the New England Patriots. I was thinking of this morning. Like, it's something you would touch on. Hey, the Patriots offense is struggling. They got Matt Patricia. What the hell were they thinking with Matt Patricia? This guy wasn't a good defensive coordinator. Give me a break. Matt Patricia, what a disaster. You would think that they were trying to tank. I actually give the Patriots credit for doing as well as they did with Matt Patricia as their offensive coordinator. So we'll give Mac Jones a break. A lot of back and forth on Mac Jones. We'll wrap up the topic segment with this one, Ian. Big news out of the NBA. Kyle Korver was promoted to assistant GM of the Atlanta Hawks.
Oh, yeah.
How do you think this will go and for the future of the Hawks? Do you think Korver has a nice future as an executive here in the NBA?
Well, I think there's one move that he could make here now as the new assistant GM that would really, I think, get some brownie points with the fans. I think it would help. What'd you say? What team was the Hawks?
Yeah.
I think it would help the Hawks organization, and that's make a trade for Luka Garza, who's being underutilized. I think he's in Minnesota now. I think he's like the last man off the bench. Get Luka Garza, the former Iowa Hawkeye. Bring him in, yeah. Hawkeye. Atlanta Hawks. You got the Hawk connection. He's the most underutilized player in the NBA. Bring in Luka Garza, and then I'll say that you're doing a good job.
Yeah, the gap between, speaking of Lukas, the Hawks drafted Luka Doncic. And of course, they traded him immediately.
You messed that up. You got to bring in a different Luka. You need to bring in another Luka.
I mean, Trae Young's a good player, all-star caliber player, but Luka's looking like an all-timer, so the Hawks completely botched that one. Had Kyle Korver been in the front office, maybe they hold on to Luka, but maybe they can go out and get another Luka, get some brownie points with the fans. So if you guys are looking for more Hawks basketball discussion, join me and Ian on the Vegas Insider podcast. We're going to be breaking down what we've seen so far from the Hawks this season and what we expect for the rest of the season. That is the Hawks betting podcast from Iain MacMillan and I. Okay, guys, it is now time to tell you about the Vegas Insider app. It gives you all the major sports betting odds at your fingertips, along with picks and expert breakdowns. You can shop for the best odds, find props, features, and plenty more with the app. If you want more Vegas Insider content like our shows, videos, and podcasts, you can find it all on the app in the media section. Download the Vegas Insider app on Apple and Android. Bet better with the Vegas Insider app. Yeah, baby. Quick shout out before we get into the viewer pick segment. Just keeping an eye on the live chat there. I want to give a shout out to a gentleman. I'm guessing it's a dude. I'm guessing our audience is 99.99999% dudes. Jigglypuff. He's got a Buffalo Bills avatar. He's in the live chat every day. He's often there before the show starts. So shout out to him. Thank you very much for watching. I would say good luck to your Bills. I wouldn't really mean it, though. I hope there's a lot of fumbles that go the Dolphins' way and missed kicks for the Bills, and Dolphins win the coin toss. And I hope it all. I'm not expecting the Dolphins to win, but they're going to need a few breaks. All right, let's get into the viewer picks. Quite a few submissions here this morning. We didn't get them all in, but a few some nice write-ups here. from the CTP crew. We'll start with betting Benny. He likes the over 6.5 in the Oilers-Sharks game, 10th and 11th in expected goals for over the last 10, 7th and 9th in high danger chances for in that span. Yeah, these goalies absolutely suck. Reimer has given up an average of 4 goals per game in his last 10, and Campbell, he's awful. 359 goals against average. Good thing the Leafs. Can you imagine the Leafs going into the playoffs with Jack Campbell as their starter? What a disgrace that was. All right, what do we have next here? Win City at Ace-Jack 702. He likes the over 42 in the 49ers Seahawks game. This team has been hitting the over at home damn near by themselves, scoring at least 35 points in 3 games. Purdy is locked in, and the D is as well. Gino will be running for his life all game, and I see a couple of turnovers, which fuels an over bet. Geno Smith over 15.5 rush yards is a bet that I like for this weekend as well. But yeah, over 42. We'll see what impact the rain has, how windy it is. But yeah, 49ers can get to 35 themselves in this one, I would think. All right, what do we have next? Schreckengoss.
Yes.
Baltimore. Plus 10, minus 115. Despite last week's loss, Baltimore actually outgained Cincinnati by 129 yards. Baltimore should control the run game, third in yards per rush. Cincinnati's 29th. Baltimore 6th in defensive yards per play over the last 3. Cincinnati at 19th since 2007. In all 6 playoff games between divisional opponents with a total of 42 or less, Dogs have kept it within 10 points. Yeah, like I said, I think that line movement is an overreaction. I liked Cincinnati inside of a touchdown here. Plus 10 may be a bit much. What do you think about this one, Ian? Too many points?
Yeah, so I took Bengals at minus 6.5. I love that line, but now it's kind of similar to the Dolphins, where I think the Dolphins line movement is a huge overreaction. I think up to 10 points in this game is an overreaction now. So I'm on Bengals minus 6.5, but at the current line, I'd actually go Ravens.
Ravens. All right, what do we have next here? Michigan plus 7 from Captain Axe's lock. Sparty is 6-1 ATS in their last 7 games with outright wins at Michigan and Penn State. In that span, they have allowed 57.7 points per game. 2-5 over-under record. Also shooting 37.8% from 3. Illinois is 3-4 ATS last 7. They allow 63.8 points per game. You could see the Sparty money line plus 230. Michigan State plus 7. Captain Axe's locks. Good luck with that one, my man. All right, what do we have next? Matty Puppy Sports. Here we go. Eckler. I like this one too. The Jags. Yeah, let's read through it. Eckler over 35.5 receiving yards in week 3 against Jacksonville. He had 8 receptions on 8 targets for 48 yards. During the regular season, the Jags gave up the most targets to opposing running backs, second most receptions, and second most receiving yards. I think that's a good look. That's one I looked at as well. And we wrap it up with a pick from yours truly. Wanted to get this one in, so going to take a swing on Steph Curry, 6 or more 3-pointers at plus 135. So he returned to the lineup the other night for the Warriors in a losing effort versus the Suns. But what really stood out in his stat line, he had 15 3-point attempts. Now, of course, he leads the league in 3-point attempts, so volume won't be an issue whatsoever. He's actually had 6 or more threes 10 times already this season, faces a Spurs team that ranks 29th in opponent 3-point shooting percentage over the last 10 games. I think that is very, very much worth a shot. I wish I would have been on Damian Lillard to score 50 points last night. Of course, he hit 50. I was on LeBron to get to 40. I think he only had 26 or 27 points in that game. So producer Tito has put together a little something here for us. We said we would save it for the show. A comment there from a watcher, a viewer, Caden Gatlin. He said, some are saying Joe and Ian are the Kobe and Shaq of the sports betting community. I like that compliment. Of course, back to back, the three-peat. And Tito put together some pictures.
Oh, nice. I'm Kobe. Oh, beautiful.
That's Shaq in his prime, though, man. That's Shaq with like a lower body fat percentage. Just an absolute beast. And he was at the peak of his... I don't know, he switched them up a bit here. So this is what Tito spent his morning doing.
Damn! Classic.
All right.
I like it, Tito.
He really went to town. This is what... How many of these does he have?
The most
professional
duo in sports betting. Is that it, Tito? You got any more? Oh, there you go. That's it.
That's not bad. I told him, I said, my prediction is that it will not be funny. I don't know. It was okay.
I liked it, Tito.
I don't think people watching were seeing that and like slapping their knees, laughing their head off. How great that was. What are your thoughts on the damn sound effect that Tito's been using, Ian?
I thought that was the one we told him to stop using, wasn't it?
I don't mind it. I think it's being used like 5 times a show, maybe not in the appropriate... Like if something really negative, I had a bad night of betting, bang! I had a good night betting, bang! Or the Ric Flair woo.
I still think he needs to add to it. He has like 3 sounds that he uses. Like he should have a soundboard of like 10 different sounds. Tito, give me the turkey. Did you add the turkey back to the soundboard? I like that one.
I like that too. That one should be used more often. I agree completely. All right, guys. Before I forget to do it, it is time for today's Handicapper Heat Check, presented by VegasInsider.com, your home for the best expert picks in the business since 1997. NFL profits leader Vince Akins had a 5-2 record last Sunday and is up to over 28 units in the NFL here this season. That's a good season. Brian Edwards went 6-1 last Sunday, extending his run to 10-3 in his last 13 NFL picks. And Scott Pritchard had a 68% regular season record. Visit VegasInsider.com/picks for wildcard weekend NFL winners. That's your Handicapper Heat Check. Stay hot, bettors. Yeah. All right, Ian, what's up this weekend besides watching football? Anything interesting going on in New York City?
No, not at all. I mean, when you're doing dry January and you're on a diet and you're training for a race, there's not really, all fun things involve alcohol, Joe. So I'll just be sitting around the house, go for a couple runs and be boring and watch football.
It's true. I'll be firing up the old PlayStation 4 tonight. I got the place to myself, and I said, well, what do I want to do?
What game are you going to play?
Night, so I have Red Dead Revolver? Red Dead
Redemption 2?
Red Dead Redemption. Why do I call it Red Dead Revolver? Yeah.
Red Dead Revolver, the original game is called Red Dead Revolver, but that's an old game. So
okay, yeah, I have that game, and if anyone's played it, it takes like hundreds of hours, and I probably do have like a good 40 hours logged in on it, but I haven't fired it up in a while, so I'm gonna sit down. If you play a game like that or Grand Theft Auto, you got to be sitting there for at least 2 hours. You can play a game like that for 25 minutes. You don't get much accomplished. So we're gonna have a video game session. I used to play video games. What's your most played video game that you've logged the most hours on in your life? It can be like a series, not like Madden 07. It can be the whole Madden or whatever.
Yeah, Madden I would say Crusader Kings. Crusader Kings 2 and Crusader Kings 3.
What the fuck is that?
It's a grand strategy game back in the Crusading age.
Damn!
I love a good grand strategy game. I like looking at maps.
I like that. I would say for me it's got to be Madden, PlayStation 2.
Classic.
Just thousands and thousands of hours on the PlayStation 2 specifically. NBA 2K, the NBA Street games, MVP Baseball. Got this game. This is on display in my background. Many will agree that this is the best baseball game of all time. MVP Baseball 2005 on the PlayStation 2. It was obviously on Xbox as well. Now, what was cool about this game is you could charge the mound in this game, and you could also argue with the umpire, and you get thrown out of the game. So that was kind of fun. But this was the coolest game of all time. And of course, I think EA Sports lost their license for Major League Baseball and college football. Everyone knows the EA Sports college football game is coming back, I think, in 2024.
Next year, I think 24, yeah.
Yeah, so have you upgraded to the you're a PC gamer, aren't you?
I'm a PC gamer, Joe, yes.
Okay.
I don't have a console.
Yeah, I think I won't upgrade to the PlayStation 5 until Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out. You know, I don't have as much time to sit down and play for hours on end like I used to. So yeah, we'll need a new system. Come out here, PS or PS5 when GTA 6 comes out. Looking forward to that. Okay, so that's it for the Super Wildcard Weekend edition of the program. Of course, we're going to be back with you on Monday to break down the Cowboys, Bucks, and everything else that's going on in the sports betting world, including the breakout from what we saw over the weekend. So, Ian, what do you have out there on BetSided and with your podcast that Chasing That Paper viewers can check out?
Yep, check out the Super Wildcard Weekend episode of the Bacon Bets podcast. I give my best bet for all 6 wildcard games, and I give out my best player prop for all 6 games. So I got 12 picks on that. Also recap the road to 272 bets because I bet on every single NFL regular season game. So I talk about that a little bit. I think that's it. Check those things out.
All right, that's it. Yeah, make sure you are liked and subscribed to this channel. Lots of great content up here on the Vegas Insider YouTube channel as well. Guys, best of luck with your bets on Super Wildcard Weekend, unless, of course, you are fading us. And as always, keep chasing that paper. What?